Shock upset. Adelaide versus Brisbane highlights. The game that broke the internet. In the dying embers of a sun-scorched Adelaide Oval, when the scoreboard read 0.6 and the clock bled past 30 minutes, did anyone dare believe that the greatest miracle in modern AFL football was already breathing? Friday night, the 5th of December 2025, a searing 38-degree twilight painted the hills gold as 52,000 souls packed the cathedral of South Australian footy. Brisbane Lions, the reigning premiers, the unstoppable juggernaut who had bulldozed their way through September with a swagger that said destiny was already theirs. Across the white line stood Adelaide, a proud club rising from the ashes of years in the wilderness, led by a 23-year-old captain who still looked too young to order a beer. Please like, share, and subscribe for more Sport Talk content. The Lions strutted out like emperors. Neil, Daniher, Cameron, McCluggage, names that had haunted opposition nightmares all season. Adelaide ran out to a roar that rattled the corrugated iron of the riverbank stand, but few outside the change rooms truly believed. The bookmakers had Brisbane at $1.15. Most pundits had already penciled in the grand final rematch. From the first bounce, the Lions attacked like a tidal wave. Daniher soared, Cameron snapped truly, Ashcroft danced through traffic. 6 goals to 0 in the first quarter. The Crows looked broken, bewildered, boys against men. Somewhere in the outer, a father hugged his crying son and whispered, "It's okay, mate. We'll get them next year." Then something shifted. You couldn't see it on the scoreboard yet, but you felt it in the air, thick, electric, ancient. The Adelaide crowd, that loyal, battered, beautiful army, refused to sit down. They sang louder. They willed their team to stand taller. And slowly, impossibly, the Crows began to answer. 72 minutes of football later, with the margin still 39 points and only 9 minutes remaining, the moment arrived that will be spoken about in Adelaide lounge rooms for 100 years. Leachy Shaw, cramping, bleeding, barely able to walk, gathers on the wing. He looks up, sees Jordan Dawson alone inside 50, and launches a mongrel kick that hangs in the hot air like a prayer. Dawson rises above 2 Lions, takes the grab, turns, and drills it from 55. The noise that followed was so loud that seismographs at the University of Adelaide registered a tremor. What happened next wasn't football anymore, it was alchemy. Goal after goal after goal. Rachiel from the pocket. Rankine burning McKenna for speed, Keys snapping on his left like the footy gods themselves were guiding it. The Lions, stunned, started to panic. Fumbles, turnovers. A team that had looked invincible now looked human, haunted. With 90 seconds left, Riley Thilthorpe, the gentle giant from the Riverland, marked 30 meters out directly in front. The stadium held its breath. He started his run. The kick was never in doubt. The roar that erupted when it sailed through could be heard across the Torrens. Full time. Adelaide 11.1278 defeated Brisbane 11.1076. The impossible had happened. Grown men collapsed to their knees on hallowed turf. Dawson stood motionless in the center square, tears cutting tracks through the zinc on his cheeks, staring at the scoreboard as if waiting for it to correct itself. Within seconds, the internet fractured. Crow's miracle trended #1 worldwide. Phones across Australia lit up with the same message. Did that actually just happen? From Perth to Paris, from schoolyards to nursing homes, the footage looped endlessly. Dawson's mark, Thilthorpe's kick, the sea of teal, navy and red leaping as one. This wasn't just an upset. It was the night South Australian footy reclaimed its soul. A state that had been told for years it didn't belong at the big table stood up and screamed that it did. It was the night the underdog reminded every kid watching on TV that belief, raw, ridiculous, stubborn belief, can bend reality. It was the night Brisbane, for all their brilliance, remembered that even giants can be felled when heart collides with hubris. And it was the night a young captain named Jordan Dawson, who grew up idolizing Rory Sloane and dreaming of nights exactly like this, carried his club, his state, and an entire sport on his shoulders and refused to let them fall. Later, amid the chaos of the song and the hugs and the tears, Dawson found a microphone. Voice shaking, he said simply, "This is for every South Australian who was ever told we weren't good enough. Tonight we were." Matthew Nix, the coach who had been written off 100 times, could barely speak. "I've never been prouder of a group of men," he managed. They just refused to die. Izzy Rankine, still buzzing with adrenaline, laughed through tears. I don't even remember the goals. I just remember the noise. That noise is going to live in my dreams forever. And Riley Thilthorpe, the match winner, the quiet country boy who kicked the goal that broke a state's heart open, whispered, I just didn't want it to end. Not tonight, not like this. Years from now, when people speak of the greatest comebacks in Australian football, they won't talk about statistics or ladder positions. They'll talk about a Friday night in December when a city decided the story wasn't over. They'll talk about the moment belief became louder than logic. Because on this night, under a blood-orange Adelaide sky, the Crows didn't just win a game. They reminded every single one of us that sometimes the human spirit can outrun talent, outlast history, and outkick the coverage. This is why we watch. This is why we cry when the song plays. This is why, long after the lights go out at Adelaide Oval, the memory of one impossible quarter will still make hearts race. Adelaide Football Club, you beautiful, mad, impossible bastards. You didn't just break the internet. You reminded a nation how